Recently, I made a video about the kangaroo, a little fish notorious for swimming into people's pee holes. While the kangaroo is rather unsettling, there isn't much actual risk, and the stories attached to it are usually riddled with more holes than Swiss cheese. While thinking about Swiss cheese, I also wondered if there were any other tiny aquatic life forms that actually are dangerous to humans, which reminded me that brain-eating amoebas exist. Yay. When people talk about brain-eating amoebas, they are likely referring to Naegleria fowleri, which doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well as brain-eating amoeba, so we'll stick to that. Although it's not a true amoeba because it's actually an Amoeba flagellate excavate, but Amoeba flagellates were only called that because their order was Amoeba flagellata and it's now called Schizopyronida instead. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with all the nerd stuff. Microbiology is complicated and it's guaranteed to give you a headache. What you need to know is that it's a single-celled organism that can change its form between a biflaggelate, trophozoite, or cyst. I'll explain what those are in a minute and why those words are important, but you probably clicked on this video because the title was The Microorganism That Eats Your Brain. Trust me, all that nerd stuff is actually quite simple, and it plays into why and how this thing eats people's brains. To start, it was identified in Australia during the 1960s because Australia wasn't already scary enough, but it's believed to have evolved in the United States. If you're not in either of those two countries, you might be feeling a little safe right now, but fun fact, they're found everywhere there's warm freshwater. So if you got a pond, lake, river, hot spring, etc., it could be lurking in there. Think about that the next time you go for a swim. Anyways, how it gets to your brain is through your nose, which it enters as a biflagellate. Biflagellate means two flagellates, and flagellates are just organisms with little rope-like appendages. They almost look like microscopic jellyfish. Once it enters your nose, it becomes a trophozoite, which is where the fun begins, because trophozoites are the feeding stage of its life cycle. Once inside your brain, it causes an infection known as Naegleriasis, which is often fatal because it's not just chilling up there, it's eating you. Symptoms start out almost resembling meningitis, fevers, headaches, the norm. Then, it typically kills you within 2 very painful weeks. While it is pretty much always fatal, it is also relatively rare, with only around 450 recorded cases in the past 60 years. Out of those 450 cases, however, only 7 people survived. So the fatality rate is essentially, yeah, you're probably gonna die. Many locations around the world have actually been shut down due to finding this amoeba in its waters, such as the Roman baths that gave Bath, England, its name. While the baths of Bath, England are great for the brain eaters, if they weren't, they could just turn themselves into their third stage, a cyst. If you've seen my sea monkey video, you may be familiar with this already, but essentially if water conditions are poor, they can go dormant in a protected spherical shape and emerge when things are good again, ready to swim up people's noses once more. Anyways, that's it for this video. While these are certainly terrifying, you have higher odds of being crushed by your fridge going for a midnight snack. So don't worry too much, and until next time, take care.